I had a technical difficulty. So again, it's like all of these upgrades around expressing, and sometimes you get these glitches as you're moving through the next level, right? To kind of calibrate you and go, okay, you need to anchor more deeply into the message. So that was one of those just little like, of course, I'm being interrupted here to see how quickly I get back in the flow state and hold the energy of this transmission, regardless of what's going on with tech. So there's just a real life initiation right there that I can just share with what happened with the headphones. So all of that to say, there's a lot with throat chakra. And before going to Egypt, you can't just go to Egypt, right? Like this the saying about Lord of the Rings, right? Like one does not simply walk into Mordor, right? One does not simply walk into Egypt if they know what's good for them, right? This is not something I just decided to do on a whim of like, oh, that'd be cool. I'm watching TikTok videos and Egypt looks cool. Let me go. Like that's not at all what happens. I felt a deep calling in my soul last November when I was last on mission in Hawaii. And when I was in Hawaii, when I was tapping into ceremony and into the grids, I kept being pulled energetically to Egypt as part of it, right? Obviously, a lot of work was happening on Hawaii. It's for another video if I do one. But I kept being pulled to Egypt. And so I knew that that meant that Egypt was pretty well next, or at least the next year. And then, so that was in November of 2025. 2026 rolls around and February comes, and I see a vessel, a vehicle to go to Egypt. And I was like, oh my God, oh shit. Like, I don't know if I'm ready, you know? And I wasn't, but Godmother was like, we're going to get you ready, of course. But now is the time, kind of in my human brain, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be later in the year, right? Fall, winter, who knows? Because it just felt, I just knew how big of a mission it was and how much of a big deal it was going to be for me personally. So it felt like something that was very grand and like a big undertaking, which it was, but it came quicker than I even expected. And so I had to get ready for it. And so one of those initiations, there were many, there were many, was around the womb, right? And Isis came in. Isis dropped into me when I was deep in meditation, and she visited me. And she's working on my womb, and I see a scorpion. I see a golden scorpion come over my womb, like etherically. And I knew that it was Isis. I just knew it was Isis, right? And so after it happens, it's a lot of the time I move through stuff. I'll move through an energy that comes in and know it's benevolent and just go with it, right? And then afterwards, I consciously understand what happened. So this is one of those times. And so afterwards, I feel called to like Google Isis and scorpions because I was like, I've never really heard of that connection. And it was a golden scorpion. So I Google Isis golden scorpion, and I come across this kind of long forgotten lore around Isis and 7 golden scorpions. And when I was in Egypt, the number 7 kept coming up as well. Like 7 is a very important number to Egyptians. And I do believe that it's connected to the 7, like 7 heavens, right? The 7, there's a whole thing. We'll get into that today. But 7 is a very special number to the Egyptians. It kept coming up. So in this story, and again, when I talk to people who have had experiences with Isis and knew more than I consciously knew about Isis, about this, and I was like, hey, have you heard this story? Most of them said no, they've never heard this story. And so just to quickly recap, when Isis had conceived Horus with Osiris, right? So the god Set was battling with Osiris in, the ancient days. And as the story goes, so Set kills Osiris. Osiris was Isis's divine counterpart, right? He was the divine masculine to her divine feminine. So Set killed Osiris and cut his body into pieces and threw his body all over the lands, all over Egypt, all over the world, right? As in like, I killed you, but I want to make sure that you cannot come back together again. You cannot be reborn. You cannot be resurrected. I want to make sure the job is done, right? Because Set was jealous of Osiris and how benevolent and loved and powerful Osiris was. So Set, obviously, bad guy here, right? So Isis, being the powerful healer that she is, the goddess, she retrieved all of Osiris's pieces, put them back together again, and wrapped them in white cloth, white cotton. And that was how the first mummy came to be, right? This is where the Egyptians got the inspiration, right, through this journey that Isis went on to mummify people, to wrap them in this cloth as part of a resurrection. So that's that lore. Now, this specific, that's more well known, obviously. So this specific tale was right after she resurrected Osiris. She, laid with him biblically and conceived Horus. Now, in this point in the story, Horus was a baby. So they're vulnerable. She's a fresh mother, even though she's a powerful goddess with a newborn baby, she's at her most vulnerable. So she had to run from the situation and get to safety, right? Where other gods that were going to, fight for her behalf could support her. So on this journey, the in-between space, the liminal space, she was vulnerable. And so she had these 7 scorpion guardians that came to her aid, right? They were her divine masculine protectors. They were her, and they weren't small scorpions. They were massive, giant scorpions. And so at this time, she had taken the form, because Isis could change how she appeared physically. She took the form of, a kind of an old woman with a baby, like this disheveled, homeless, older woman, right? So the lore goes, she goes to a rich woman's house and she seeks refuge there as she's on her way to these sacred marshes where she knew she'd be safe and protected. And the woman, of course, takes one look at her, looking like she's homeless. And her huge golden scorpions, that would be a very scary sight, to be fair, and was like, absolutely not, get out of my sight, right? I don't care that you have a baby, like, not here, not in my backyard. So Isis moves on, and she finally gets to another place, which is much more humble, a very poor woman who lives humbly and frugally, and she seeks refuge there, and the woman says, come in, right, despite seeing these golden scorpions. So Isis herself in the story wasn't too upset about the fact that the rich woman rejected her. However, her scorpions were. And so when Isis is sleeping with Horus in this like shack, if you will, with this poor woman who just opened her home and her heart to them, the scorpions sneak away in the dead of night and go back to the rich woman's, grand home. And the rich woman also had a newborn baby at the time. And the scorpions sting her baby, and the baby dies, right? This is out of vengeance for Isis, even though Isis didn't consent or tell them to do this. This is what they did on their own. So when Isis heard that the baby was dead, she felt very bad, very guilty, horrified. So she goes back to that woman's mansion and she brings the baby back to life. She takes the poison out, heals the baby, brings the baby back to life. And the witch woman then realizes, of course, who she is, because she has this ability to do this. Like, oh my gosh, you're Isis. I rejected Isis. I turned her away. So as her repentance for that, obviously she was grateful to Isis for bringing her baby back, right? Even though in a roundabout way, the downfall of her baby was connected to Isis. But she knew that it wasn't her intention for that to happen. So in her repentance, she gave all of her wealth and her home to the poor woman, because the poor woman could see who Isis was, right? She recognized that this woman needed help. Even if she didn't know, oh, she's Isis, I have to help her because of that reason. But she knew to help her. Like, that was just the right thing to do. So the woman was like, I'm going to repent and offer the poor woman who did the right thing from the jump all this wealth, right? So there's a lot of themes here that intersect. But the wealth piece also matters in the story. So I'll just kind of leave that as an aside for now. So I looked the story up. Again, I'm trying to ask people who I know who are into Isis, into the lore, and they had never heard the story. But scorpions are very much in the histories, in the culture of ancient Egypt, tied into, of course, poison, right? Like the scorpions poison the child, right? They can kill, they can hurt, they can do damage, but they also heal, right? Like the flip side of this, in the poison, there is the antidote, right? This is just how it works in life as well. Like if a snake bites someone with their venom, the anti-venom is distilled from their venom, right? So the cure is in the poison. That is quite literally how it works. And so this story alludes to that. So with these golden scorpions, they then became part of my energetic field, right? As part of this activation, these divine masculine, a little bit scary and a little bit, eager to fight as well. But they're doing it out of protection, out of love, right? So in that is the medicine, right? Like if someone comes to you with these scorpions activated in your field and they have bad intentions, they'll get the sting, right? They'll get the punishment, the retribution. And it may be harsh. But if they come to you to serve or to add value or to, just to be good to you, right? There's this benefit. There's this mutual benefit that happens, right? So there's also healing available. So this scorpion womb activation that I received has so many tangents. It's healing, it's protective, it's divine masculine energy, it's regeneration. It's a lot of things at once, right? And so after this happened, of course, I kind of had to let this play out and see how it would play out in my life. But one of the big significant things was I noticed it just cut off, like siphoning, right? So when you are a woman, and of course, the more you are tapped into the power of your womb, the more this matters, right? But all women, we are portals to life, quite literally, right? Through our womb spaces, we create life. And this happens at every level of reality. It isn't just, oh, I create life as far as I give birth to a child. You can birth realities, you can birth creations, right? It's a mirror at every level of reality. So women often don't understand and know that, right? It's like, oh, I can give birth to a child. You can give birth to anything you fucking want. You can give birth to anything you want, anything, any creation, a world, anything, if you know how, right? If you're tapped into your womb codes. And the way that society has been set up through patriarchy is women are being unconsciously siphoned. It's like we have all these plugs into our wombs from society at large, a lot of the times from the men in your life, right? If they are not anchored in their divine masculine, they are going to either consciously or unconsciously suck your life force through the womb and use the creative power that you have to birth your own creations, to birth your own missions for their own gain. Again, this can happen both consciously and unconsciously, right? This is where warlocks come in. This is where all that goes down. And that is also a whole other conversation. But what that can look like is, when a woman is being siphoned by a man, it could also just be family. It could be a father, it could be a brother. It could also be women who know how to do this work, who realize that, oh, you have like codes that I want in your womb, or I just want to tap into you because you are connected to source and I am not, right? Not that that they can't be, but people who operate in the dark are not connected to source, right? They're cut off, but they need source to create. So they have to find someone who is, find a womb that is. Enter you with your light, or me, past versions of me with my light, who didn't understand my own power, who didn't have energetic boundaries. Do you see where this is going, right? So over my spiritual journey, I have had to do a variety of boundary and spiritual protection around my creative power in multitude of ways, but including the womb. And so this scorpion activation that Isis brought into my life, that I also can now share with others, right? If you want to experience this is something that we can do. You can type scorpion in the comments or email me about this. But this is something that completely cuts off energetic siphoning, specifically from the womb space. And every woman needs this, especially if you're doing high level work, especially if you have a big mission, especially if you know you have very big, abundant energy and a lot of light. And you have a history of people coming around and using you, whether it's financially, whether you enter into conversations and rooms and relationships, and over time you notice that your energy goes down and theirs goes up, that your blessings go down and theirs goes up, Maybe you gain a lot of weight or you lose a lot of weight and they end up looking better than ever from extended contact with you. These are just some signs. Just some signs this is happening to you. If you just feel drained around certain people, if you have, issues with your womb, maybe you have really intense period cramps, maybe you've got some sort of endometriosis, you've got just things going on physically, they often can be linked to energy and spiritual reasons. This can be a reason why you suffer from those things, right? This can be a root cause. So if you feel that in your body and soul as like a yes, if something's pinging, then yeah, like this is part of the reason why. So we have to safeguard our creative center. We have the most valuable, it's like having like a mine of diamonds and gold and rubies, right? And not having a fence around it, not having guards, security guards, not having a camera system. Women are conditioned out of it to be nice girls, to assume everyone has good intentions, to go above and beyond, to break your own boundaries, to serve without serving yourself, to give people benefits of the doubt, right? Like we are conditioned this way, and it's so much more nefarious than you can even imagine it is, because that means that you no longer have an electric fence around your gold and diamond mine. Therefore, people can just come in and take whatever the fuck they want. And you're like, why do I feel depleted? Why do I not have any extra energy for myself? Why am I gaining weight? Why does my skin look bad? Why am I not taking care of myself anymore? Why do I have a really bad cycle? Why do men come into my life and just use me? Like this is all connected to not having proper safeguards around your womb, around your mine of gold. And we all, as a woman, have this. This is our birthright. But it is our job to make sure that we are taking care of it and stewarding it and safeguarding it. And so this is one of the gifts that Isis gave to me and now to the collective through the work that I do as a high priestess. And so one of the ways that this showed up, this manifested for me, was my standards around what I was allowing in my life instantly, like I'm talking instantly shifted. It's so easy to talk about standards, right? Like just decide to do something differently, just decide to have more boundaries, just say no, just we're told all these things. Like I'm glad that we have a culture now where we are talking about boundaries for women and like really holding them, right? Like that's a really good thing, that's not a bad thing. However, information is not information until it's embodied. And like knowledge isn't power until it's embodied, is what I'm trying to say, right? So you can hear a TikTok video and be like, yeah, I really should not let men take money from me. I really should not borrow out money to men. I really should not mother them by, looking up jobs for them and cooking every meal and, making sure that they're emotionally good before I am and not speaking my truth because I don't want them to feel bad, right? Like it's easy to like say, hey, just do better. But what are the actual mechanics behind raising your standards? How do you actually do that, right? Enter this. Enter all of these pieces of spiritual technology that the mother, through her emanations, right, through her vessels that she sends out into the world, out into the cosmos to support us, right? Isis being one of them. This is the how. This is the piece that you activate these things and then you raise the standard. It's just held, right? And you don't even have to think about it. So what happened with me was there was a large expense that I was paying every month that after I had that activation, I cut off. It was a large expense. And it was something that I was not supposed to be paying for. That was not the arrangement, the original arrangement. And then I had kind of a new reverse done to me. And so mother was very clear of this. This is siphoning. This is a financial source of siphoning in your fields, and it cannot be tolerated. But it wasn't even a conscious decision because I had this upgrade. It was like, done, never again. Like, I line in the sand, never again. And I never paid it again. That expense never left my account for that again. And that was something that was felt very difficult to shift because I had been feeling that need, like, this is an energy leak, this is a financial energy leak, I'm being siphoned, this is not how God Mother wants me to spend my money. Because as a high priestess, it's very important that I spend money, I circulate money in ways that are truly aligned for me and are soul led, right? Spending and receiving, like, in every capacity. And so I was being shown, and I knew, hey, this thing is like not right. Like, there's something about this that's not right. But I didn't have the strength and the power to do the hard thing and say no more until this activation came along, right? So now not only am I saving that expense, there were so many other things that are now also releasing, other expenses that I had that I no longer have to carry. So I'm saving so much money right now just from this alone. Like, that's just one little piece of what happened here, because that was a violation. That was a boundary violation of the Most High against me. That was siphoning. So if there are things like that in your life where you know you're being taken from, and maybe you're like, you're smart, you're aware, you're in tune, you know, hey, this isn't right, and I'm being taken for a ride here, I'm being taken advantage of, my kindness, my generosity, my willingness to work with people, to help people is being taken advantage of to whatever degree, this will immediately help you move beyond it. And so it is really powerful, right? So if you're somebody who's like, well, I want to experience this, Scorpion womb, Isis Scorpion womb activation, I want to receive this upgrade, understand your life will change. Period. There's no going back. The standard raises and stays that way. And that is a good thing, obviously, but it also means life changes. So it's only for those who are truly ready for the changes that come with this, because there are people, places, financial obligations, friends, hobbies, practices that are going to shift as a result. And this is simply one of the activations that I have received pre, during, and post Egypt. But this is a non-negotiable for women, for powerful women who are here to use their womb for their own mission, right? Like, we can't, it's like a cup. Like, if you have a cup, a vessel, a womb, right? You have a chalice, and water pours into it, source, energy, life force, to then be used towards something, to be put towards a creation, whether it is a child or a business or a mission or a nonprofit, or you want to start this, and that, right? You want to write a book, you want to, whatever it is, right? Whatever the creation is, if there are holes poked into it, if there are other straws that are already poked into this, and people, entities, energies are sucking from this chalice, you don't have much left over for those projects. You don't have much left over for yourself. And this is also why we can feel like we can't get the momentum going that we know we could, that we know we're able to create. Like, we can't create at the levels that we know we have, like, that is inherent to us. There's something off. This could be it. And again, you will know, you will feel it. You'll feel a pull to this if it is. This is one of the things, or just my work in general, because there's a variety of ways that this can shift. But that was such a powerful, potent moment. And then after I got back from Egypt, of course, there were other activations that occurred, but this really was such a pivotal, foundational moment in my life, in my journey. It really helped me to see where things were not life-giving for me, because I have spent so much of my life thinking about other people and putting their needs first and going, well, how will they receive this? If I say this, what are they going to feel in return? If I do this, how will they respond? I've spent so much time, so much energy, so much of my life basing my decisions around how other people would respond and how it would benefit or hurt them, to the detriment of myself, right? I was at the bottom of that fucking list. And so there were so many things that were out of alignment because I was showing up from people pleasing, from those wounds of growing up and being conditioned that way, not just in the home, but in society as a woman in general. And so this really kind of just cut all of that away. And my womb said no more. And so things naturally had to fall away. Any person, any energy had to fall away. And then it was like, okay, this relationship I've been in for all these years, I had to walk away from as well because I was shown how there wasn't at the level that I need the reciprocity. I was not being given to, life force was not coming in from this relationship. It was only going out. And resources in many, many forms, right? So this changed my life in a massive way. I'm now in a new home, a new surrounding, and a new studio space, as you can see, with so much light, right? Like the space that I was living in before was metaphorically, energetically, and literally dark. Like it just didn't have natural light coming in. And now I'm in a space where I have natural light. The energy is light, which is who I am. I am light, right? So there's been such a domino effect of changes, and they were not easy to walk through, right? This is not like it's, oh, la, 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 it's fine. Like I'm not, grieving. I'm not also, taking care of my inner child and the pieces of me that, held on to things and were attached to things and codependent with experiences and people in my reality. Of course, all of that also was part of this process, but landing on the other side of it, it's like, wow, like I've just completely had a quantum leap, a paradigm shift, and there were so many upgrades. Too many to list here. I'll go into them, of course, as the videos continue, as I feel called to share. But for the first time in my life, there is nothing and no one who is around me who is not in reciprocal energy. And that is a big deal. And I can feel how the next level of my life is going to just bloom, in such a way because of these shifts that have come off the back of me rising my standards in life across every category through the help of these ancient teachings, of these blue rose lineage through Isis, through Hathor, initiations, activations, teachings. This just being one of them. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So I hope that landed with you. I'd love to hear in the comments how you feel about all this, what pinged. And like I said, if you would like to also experience this for yourself, if you want to have this womb activation and completely change the trajectory, put in those boundaries, whether it's relationships, finances, your time, your energy, all of them, right? Whatever is siphoning your energy will fall away, or you will be forced to walk away from it, right? So if you're ready for that up level, because what comes after that is a new reality, right? Is reciprocal relationships, is life that comes in, money that feels good to receive and flow out. All of that, all that comes with that. Everything changes. So if you're ready for that, truly, then you can comment Scorpion and we can have a conversation about that. So until next time, have a beautiful day and I will talk to you soon.